the CBN governor, well, somehow they're on track, but they should carry everyone along. And we say, how can you carry everyone along and tie that in to the man who has a check, well, written Bank PHB, Afribank, and I'm supposed to go pick my money up? How best can I get that money in my hand?
Yes, you can. But let me advise all investors, up to all depositors, let me use that word. Just have it in mind that operationally, it is not visible for you to get all your money at once, because you can't get it in quotes. But operationally, you can't just walk into any bank, because as it is now, their stock has been delisted. And we have the situation whereby each branch normally...
It's not delisted, they're just about to start the process of
okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just suspended.
Okay, suspended.
Yes.
And we now have the situation whereby at the central vaults, there's usually an arrangement in the banking sector. Take, for example, now that each branch have its quota, and it's like a chain reaction to the head office. So you have the situation whereby you can't just move into any branch and you expect that you have your total amount of maybe 200,000 and you pull everything out like that. There are process, and the situation whereby each branch will be able to now say, okay, we can afford to give you 100,000 for now. Come back, so as we'll be able to attend to the available customers within our disposal. So you have the situation whereby you don't have to go panicking.
Is there any need for that in the first place? Exactly. Even if you want to, assuming you wanted to withdraw all your money and it was not possible, but is there really any need for you to panic in the first place?
There's no need. There's no need for us to panic. The reason why they are panicking is as a result of no information. We have a kind of a media system whereby they don't take us unawares. Like in other countries, we have the situation whereby media actually take audience or look at investors. Everybody follow stake. Take, for example, like the phone scandal in UK. For a long time now, we've been following all from step 1 to step 2, step 3, and the situation whereby I'm sure by the time all affected people will be compensated, we will know. So the same thing, Nigerian media sector should play a lot of role towards ensuring that the average investor, even a shareholder of 1,000 naira, is actually being managed with information.
Okay, the amcon is investing like 679 billion naira into these 3 banks, and it will now make them amongst the most capitalized banks in the country. What does that say? What does that imply to the investor and indeed the depositors?
Yes, what it means is that their risk management structure is now robust. And what it means now is that they will be able to now carry out a lot of syndicated projects. And the situation whereby once it is turned over, then it will now augur well for the average investor or depositor. So there's actually no need to embark on any panic withdrawal. But what we are actually looking at the other side of the table is that we want the right person. Our clamor is for the right management team to be able to take over those banks.
Are you satisfied with the management team that has been put in place? They say they are tested and trusted hands taking over the management of this banks, these new nationalized banks.
We don't want academicians. We want people who are actually, as I said, I'm always using that word.
Academicians are not.
But some of these people have been there before.
Yes.
Like Bello was in the PhD before.
Ajeki Bey was a former MGC of First Bank.
Now, maybe you should tell us what you mean by, because it's your area. What do you mean by academicians?
Okay, are you now saying that those who were managing spring banks before, they were not there before? Are they not tested? Have they not been in industry for 30 years? Part of the criteria before CBN will approve you as MD or executive director or so, you must have met a lot of conditions. And before they know that, okay, yes, this person is actually suitable to occupy that position, they are actually there. But how far? We have the situation whereby there's corruption. We have the situation whereby a lot of insider loans. We have the situation whereby no corporate governance in place, because you have the same set of cabals actually coming to the banking sector to borrow money, and the other general public are being excluded because these, in quotes, have the collateral. They have the wherewithal to be able to ensure the money comes back.
But so far so good. This new set of people, the management team for this new bank, so you've seen their names, have you?
I've seen their names.
And they are not people who are coming, they are not fresh hands, are they? They're people who manage successful banks.
Agreed, and we don't need to be able to judge because they have not started. the couple of months we'll be able to unravel how good in terms of maybe implementation.
You know,
because,
we ask
because
you
what
you know,
what they were managing before is different from the new.
Sorry, Mr. Orie. You know why we ask you that? Because after the 5 banks went under, the CBN put managers. And you understand. So now the CBN, let's just say AMCON's managers in the long run is also CBN's manager. How well can they do? Because some of those managers that the CBN put in place, some people are still saying that all is still not well with some of these banks.
Yeah, in quotes, bookmakers will be able to predict wrong, just like some of us are having our fears. But all is well. For you to correct any anomaly, especially when it comes to the banking sector now, it takes time. A lot of things need to be taken care of. We talked about the audit department, risk management, corporate social responsibility, and a lot of things. If we look at like the shell sector now, you have the situation whereby like they need to be able to pay for the Ogoni spill out. You know, so we have a lot of things that need to be checked within that economic area. And that's what we are saying now, that okay, yes, we've seen the pedigree of the people managing these new banks now, these bridge banks. Let us see how far. They all have a mission statement. Take for example, like, okay, the person who is actually in charge of the power sector. At least we saw one major step by making sure that 18 CEOs of power holding were actually asked to go. That's a kind of, we need to start seeing implementation structures being put in place. So like these bridge banks now, let us now see their policy, their management style. How would they redefine their mission statement, or would they follow the existing mission statement these banks are coming from? Let us now look at all those things, and we'll be able to now see how we can now judge them on the basis of book that, okay, yes, these people are actually doing.
While we do the judgment, the depositors are worried. How safe? You know, look at this headline. Federal government moves to stop panic withdrawal. Some of us, if we had huge sums of monies in any of these banks, wouldn't be sitting pretty well here talking about all of this. How well can that particular investor as well as depositor out there watching can be assured that his funds are safe? And how soon can he get it back?
Yes, we need to have a national banking awareness summit being organized by CBN. I'm actually clamoring for that. The situation whereby CBN will be able to come out and be able to tell us and let all investors know that this whole process is transparent and this is how it should be able to go. Then the average man who has close to maybe 100,000 in his account, maybe in Oceanic Spring or maybe Bank PHB, will now relax that, okay, my money is still safe. He doesn't need to take that emergency trip from Aba or take from Bauchi to come back to Lagos immediately to withdraw money. Because in most cases, what we observe now is that maybe you want to collect the kind of money, they will now ask you now to go back to your particular branch. Depending on your kind of transaction, there are some transactions you cannot do from any other branch. They will refer you to the origin where you created the account. And what it means is that chain reaction, people are prone to accidents on the road because as a result of they want to rush from one thing or the other. Anywhere they are, a national information awareness system for the banking sector need to be instituted so that the CBN will be able to relax and people will follow them. That, okay, yes, these people actually know what they are doing.
Now, the ATMs of such banks, you think is still operational? Can someone also withdraw from any of these points with your ATM card of your former bank?
No, usually this is how it works. Take, for example, now, if there's a much pressure like over the weekend, sometimes those ATM needs to be shut down so as to ensure maybe liquidity. Then we have the situation whereby now, if names they've taken over as enterprise banks, a lot of things, you need to be able to change over all the software systems, you need to be able to, the payroll systems, documentation need to be able to change. And most of all these things will reflect, and it takes extra cost and it takes time for you to transfer from one medium to another.
But in the meantime, the question will be, those things that the depositors have that enable them collect money and also give people checkbooks and even their ATM cards, would they still be valid?
It will still be valid.
Despite the fact that they're not bearing Keystone or Maestro.
It will still be valid. Well, what we are saying is that we have the situation whereby, take for example now, if it takes maybe a kind of a period, we are like doing merger and acquisition now. The transition period for merger and acquisition sometimes might take a year, sometimes might take 6 months. We have the situation whereby within that buffer period, the temporary period whereby they now transit from one level to another, it now allows them to be able to now look at it. Do you get it? So we are looking at a situation whereby for them to transit, it will definitely affect customers, and customers should just be patient. There's no, as far as NDIC is involved, we believe in NDIC, we believe in most of what AMCON they are doing. It's a step in the right direction, but what we are actually saying is that they need to be able to implement it to the letter. That is why most of us, so that several gestures like this AMCON, we've had it in UK, we've had it in US and several organizations. But look at what's happening in US. In spite of all multinationals, financial regulatory authorities in place to be able to ensure this, which shows that if they can go wrong, it is possible Africans too can go wrong, especially when we need their foreign investment, and we also have a link with the foreign banks. That is why we need an African central bank, so as to be able to ensure we do what IMF are doing. We need a kind of not just African central bank. We need the situation whereby we have a kind of an economic team.
Isn't AFDB fulfilling that role already for us?
But your guess or your answer is as good as mine. We look at Somalia, we look at Sudan, we look at several other cases. If actually they are alive to their responsibility, we will find out that a lot of sovereign entities or organizations will not be experiencing the problem we are experiencing now, because it's as a result of maybe they wait when there's problem before they move in. Why not putting those structures in place so as to solve that problem? Initially, I remember 2 decades ago, the whole world focused attention on Somalia. But because of Iraq and some other areas like that, the American United Nations shifted attention. And that's what's happened. And now today, they are now pushing back attention to them. Maybe if the Al-Qaeda people try to switch another button again, attention economically will shift to another country.
Well, Mr. George, already attention has left us now. From now, we're moving the attention to the new studio. We'd like to thank you so very much for finding time to come expatiate more on this bank ownership as well as AMCON issue. Once again, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, before I leave, I just want to leave a word for all entrepreneurs. For you to be able to survive this impending global financial crisis or this transition period, all entrepreneurs must be able to identify one thing or the other. You need to be able to have a particular skill which you can sell. Have it in mind that if you cannot confront any obstacles, you won't be able to come to the front, and you need to be able to get yourself ready for 2015.